Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturcio and Chris Gucci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a hump day. It is Wednesday, February the 22nd, 2023. And, of course, it is Dave Sturcio. It is Chris Gucci. And, of course, it's A5 Anthony behind the glass right here at Chop Studios. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Chris, how we doing, buddy? We're good?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I got a little bit of the bubble guts action.
Yes, nervous. I know. It's not our first rodeo.
Very nervous to do the NBA show today.
Not a lot of, again, I know everybody's struggling right now with the lack of NBA. There's no NFL. The MLB is not active yet. There is some college basketball stuff, though, so if you definitely want to go look into that. I mean, I think that some of the games last night were very, very good, according to the Twitterverse. I follow a lot of Texas people, so a lot of people are into the Texas schools, so I guess they're doing well, or they're not doing well. Either way, I think that it's what?
No, there's like 81
Well,
Texas
I know,
schools.
but Texas Tech, I have one of my followers, a big Texas Tech fan, so she like goes ham on all of like literally the play-by-play. Where did he go?
He was at Georgetown and Texas Tech.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, because actually, you know what? I did see a couple of videos of him. He's starting to become this phenom all of a sudden. Like, I know he won the dunk contest, which is great, but I think he's starting to really take on a star of his own.
He caught national attention when he was in high school. He has one of the best, if not the best, high school mixtape of all time. You know how these kids are putting their highlight reels for a huddle in football, but Mac McClung, look him up. Gate City, bro.
I will.
He was wearing the jersey in the dunk contest.
I did see that.
He got an alley-oop from his high school teammate.
That's
all
pretty cool.
Stuff.
That's pretty
cool stuff.
So that is our new friend, Mac. But look, there's NBA news to get to, and we have to get to it now because of the fact that there is some breaking news as of yesterday. Lonzo Ball has been ruled out for the rest of the year. Now, that's quite interesting. His stock, his long-term stock, his career stock went down 2.16%, which is not crazy. But when you think about it, the grand scheme of things, Chris, are you starting to worry a little bit about the production of Lonzo Ball going forward? I mean, like, it's one thing for him not to perform this year, have a couple of the knee issues, all that stuff. But, like, it's starting to make you worry a little bit.
I mean, I've been worried. Look, going into the season, there was a lot of clouds surrounding the Lonzo Ball's injury situation. The knee is just not responding to treatment. It's not getting better. The knee injury isn't even that significant from what my understanding of it is. It's very standard, and by now he should have been back 3 times over. And now they're ruling him out for the season, which just means there's still 30 games. There's plenty of time, and it hasn't responded. What are they going to do? Are they going to surgically repair a knee that doesn't really need surgery? How are they going to figure this out? We're talking about a basketball player here. Mm-hmm. You need your knees to play basketball. Do we ever see Lonzo Ball again?
That's bold.
Now, I'm not saying that we don't ever see him again, but it's going to be one of those things where think back to like a Grant Hill situation. Lonzo Ball is not even close to the player Grant Hill was, but there was when it goes.
Bro, they were talking about Grant Hill like he was supposed to be the next big thing.
I think Grant Hill's was an ankle situation and then a knee, but this is what ends up happening. You deal with one injury and then you fight, you battle hard to get back, but then you get hurt again. And this is what we're dealing with Lonzo Ball. Fortunately for Mr. Ball, LeVar Ball, he's got another son in the NBA that is definitely worth investing in. So, Mr. Ball, I know he's working with Mojo. And
yes, he is.
He's doing a little bit of promoting. Hey, promote your son. He does no better than anybody at promoting. So I guess it's
100%. Big baller brand.
There. Big baller brand heading on over to Mojo, and LaMelo Ball is definitely an investment. But Lonzo Ball, I predicted that he was like one of the lowest numbers in the. You asked me that question. I said, Lonzo Ball. He was like 4 away. The expectation was never really there going in my opinion.
For Lonzo.
Going into this season for Lonzo Ball. Yeah. So him being out for the year down 2%, I think that's what the market was expecting.
Par for the course, as Chris likes to say a lot.
Yes. I actually was going to say it.
I knew it. See, it's like we've done 100 or more of these things. Or 2 years worth, really. But now there's also another guy on your screen right now, and he goes by the name of Jacques Vaughn. He is the Brooklyn Nets head coach, and that head coach was just given a multi-year extension. Now, why? Right off the rip, you would have to say Steve Nash fired in November. He's kicked out of town. He's pretty much just banned from Brooklyn altogether. And then you got a guy like Jacques Vaughn who comes in here. He goes 32-19 since coming on. So clearly they're winning games, right? So that's not the reason why I'm questioning this. But the guys skipped town quick. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden doesn't really count in this situation. Ben Simmons is a non-factor. all of a sudden, is it the coach? Because I'm thinking like Durant and either Durant or Irving went on record, said, we don't need a coach. We'll coach the team. The coaches don't matter. Which, again, false.
That's not true.
But,
you need a coach.
But, like, why are these guys all jumping ship, like quick?
Because when you agree, and in this case, it's kind of how the Nets were formed. When they've agreed to kind of chase this title together, they went after Harden. KD and Kyrie, they joined forces. So the minute one is gone and Harden goes there, they join forces. Now they're supposed to win a title together. If you're a star, a KD, a Kyrie, a Harden, you're chasing a title. That's the only thing that you're in the league for at this point.
So they're not good enough to do it on their own?
I mean, it's
because they were together.
If we're gonna have that conversation,
how many stars do you need on a team to win a title?
The very direct, and this is not a knock on any of these players. Nobody is winning it alone unless you get a flash in the pan, and even still, you're going to need a Jason Kidd at the tail end of his career, a Josh Howard playing lights out defense, both and a wing that's hitting threes. And I'm talking about the Mavericks the year they won it, and I'm talking about the Pistons the year they beat the Lakers, where they didn't have a star, but those were just really good teams, and they weren't really dominating year after year. You need stars in this league, and you need multiple stars if you're going to win. So I don't blame the players. I do think it is. Get to your question because I know what you're going to ask.
What?
Is it a destination still?
How did you know? Is Brooklyn a place to be? Is it a coaching thing? Is it an upper management thing? Because it seems like these guys wanted to get out of Brooklyn so fast, so they couldn't wait to get out of here.
So it depends what your reasoning to go there is. If you're going there to be the man, you could potentially change the franchise.
But that's what Durant did.
Yeah, but
and that's what Irving did.
Durant is in no interest in changing a franchise around right now. He's almost 40, it seems like.
It seems like it. He's not, but he's almost.
He's at the tail end of his career. He's chasing a title, and that's what these guys do. There's no... Look, everybody from our generation likes to point the finger and knock what these guys are doing, but this is just the nature of it. And to be fair, it was the KG, the Ray Allen, and the Paul Pierce that kind of started this whole
Three amigos
super team thing.
I remember.
Everyone likes to point at LeBron, but it's just the nature of the sport now. I don't think it makes the Nets not a destination. They still play in New York. Would you rather go to New York or Utah?
Would
you rather go to OKC or
about
Brooklyn?
That what you just brought up. You brought up the super team that the Cleveland and the Miami had, right? They had three. It was LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Like, those are the guys that went out there and won a title. These guys had Durant, Irving, and Harden on the same team at the same time. So if you guys can't combine together, and now I know this whole conversation goes back to the coach, but like, if you can't do it, if those three guys can't do it, can anybody do it in Brooklyn? Because I'm looking at this free agent class from next year. Kyrie, you can't count him. Kevin Love, D'Angelo Russell, who was a former Net. Harrison Barnes, Brook Lopez, another former Net. These guys don't want to stay in Brooklyn.
So I think that the Nets, when they trade away these stars, they're understanding that they're not winning a title next year. They're not winning a title this year. It's basically the understanding. It's just not going to happen.
2024, just to cut you off, Clay, Middleton, Draymond, Harrison Barnes, DeRozan, Van Vliet. They're all free agents, unrestricted. So, like, can you build? But I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm looking at this Brooklyn team, and I'm like, wait, they just had Harden.
They stockpiled draft picks. There's a chance that Brooklyn could be a player anytime a big-time free agent is a pending free agent. Anytime that anybody's entered into these trade deadline talks, then Nets will be involved. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to wait a little bit for that. But Jacques Vaughn's a good coach. The
Clearly,
league respects him. LeBron was touting him before the season started. I think they're in a good spot. The Nets are playing hotter right now than they were anytime with this big three.
Surprisingly.
And conversely, to your point about can anybody win it in Brooklyn? Yeah, I mean, if you took KD right now on the team he's on right now and you just move them to Brooklyn, there's a chance that the Suns win the title. That team didn't work in Brooklyn, but a different version of a team with KD would certainly work. So,
because you do have a Chris Paul at the end of his career.
Yeah, so who do you think right now is the favorites to win?
The Suns are out. I mean, you would think.
Right? And guess what? KD's going to get dragged in the media, and he's going to get dragged on social media. But guess what else?
He might care. He's got a burner and stuff.
I mean, I think that there's points in KD's career that he cared, but I think once you hit a certain point like he's at now, he wants that title.
No F's given at all as far as public perception. But yeah, so, all right, look, the NBA resumes tomorrow, right? It's not technically second half. I mean, it's, verbally the second half of the season, but there's only like 24 games left or something like that. So it's actually getting down to the thinner part of the schedule. When it comes to the Mojo Market, is there anybody besides your typical Lucas and the guys you would definitely like John Morant and all these guys? I love all these guys, but is there somebody you have an eye on as far as somebody you might want to go long on for at least the remainder of 2023?
Yeah, I mean, I have two guys. Brandon Ingram, I think, is one of the guys in the league that just always gets overlooked. He's like a cross between almost an AD and a guard. He's a little bit smaller than AD. He's a very good shooter. I think because he plays on the Pelicans and it's a Zion show over there, even though it isn't, Brandon Ingram kind of slips under the radar. Looking at his stock price, I had it up, but yeah, looking at his stock price, 170.52. That's fairly low. He's like right around guys like Draymond. He's only 25 years old. He's averaging 25-5, right? What is it? 25-5-5, I believe.
Nice.
Was his averages.
So hey, look, and the Pelicans are another one of those under the radar teams that nobody really expected to do much as guys left town, but Zion decided to stay.
22.5 this year.
Well,
but either way, that's down from the last 2 seasons, and 3 seasons ago he was averaging 25. So he's an offensive problem. He gets rebounds, a little less than somebody you'd like to see for that size, but I think because he doesn't really mix it up down low, he has potential for a really long career. And then another guy that I think is just completely under the radar, and nobody's talking about him, starting to a little bit, but Alperen Sengun from the Rockets. The Rockets are doing things a little bit different, like they're trying to lose, it seems like, for years now.
The minute they traded Harden, I was like,
20 years old. He was the Turkish national team, or Turkish, whatever their pro level league is over there.
Okay.
He was the MVP of the league last year at 20. Now he's averaging 16 and 11 or something like that. So 16 and 10, a double-double a night. Granted, he doesn't have much help over there, but he's lighting it up, and he's 20 years old. Anytime you see a 20-year-old able to mix it up down low and get double-double consistently night in, night out, obviously, you know the skills that are there. I feel like this guy could be a future MVP.
Really?
We're looking at a guy who's 20 years old and he's dominating the paint. He's 6'11".
But do you think he can win an MVP in Houston? Is another thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that might get overlooked because of the stars in the league.
Because Jokic, if you're as dominant as you get to be, if he's putting up monster numbers, which is potential down the line, but this kid's just fun to watch play. He's got skills across the board, legit.
I like it. All right, let's move on to the NFL. There's a couple things, couple nuggets that decided to pop in overnight. One of the things I read early this morning, was that Brock Purdy has not had his surgery yet because of swelling. Eagles, what did you do to this kid? Like, this could be the end of Brock Purdy, and I don't want to say that or put the Knicks on somebody, but man, the questions, at least in San Francisco, are it's Trey Lance or bust at this point, because you can't rely on Brock Purdy to come off of basically Tommy John. You know, he might be out for an extended amount of time. Jimmy G's about to walk out the door. It's the Trey Lance show.
It's not a complete tear. From what I was hearing, that they don't even really remember when what was it, Tanaka had a potential UCL situation.
Sure,
It was a slight tear. They were opting for rehab instead of surgery, and it ended up he never needed the surgery. Tanaka still pitching in Japan. So there's a chance they're doing the surgery.
Is he still pitching in Japan?
Yeah.
Nice.
He was almost considering coming back to the Yankees this year, and we were like, no.
Oh, but I would have entertained it.
This is a standard thing. The timeline, they were saying it was 6 months, and that was from the time of the injury. That was factoring in the potential 2 weeks of swell. I think that Brock Purdy is going to be ready for the season, and there's other things that I've seen Brock Purdy doing over the course of the last 2 weeks since he doesn't look like a guy that's struggling. You know, I've seen him out and about. He's been at events doing card signings and things like that. Like, I haven't seen him personally, but I've seen him on the internet. And Brock Purdy's dapping people up. It looks like he's proceeding as normal. He's just not able to throw a football. So the swelling is there.
You might need to know how to do that.
I'm not a doctor, neither is Dave, but
we just play him on TV.
We do analyze injuries in situations like this all the time, so we'll do our best. But I have no clue what the swelling looks like. I don't know about how it's going to be detrimental long term.
I don't know. I read that article today, and it's just you have to raise some flags if you're the 49ers, and if it's a Trey Lance show, fine, let it be. But do you have to entertain the fact that you might need to go and find yourself a veteran?
If the doctor's like, hey, it's still a little more swollen than we'd like it to be, not a problem. You know, maybe just rest it, ice it a little bit more, and come back next week when the swelling goes down. We'll do the surgery. And the coaches are like, hey, what does this mean for everything? The doctor's like, nothing. Oh, we're good. It's just swelling.
But the reporter grabbed it, ran with it, headlines all over the place. Franchise tag window opened up yesterday. Nobody's been franchise tagged yet from what I've read. There's rumors. Obviously, we talked at length about Daniel Jones, possibly Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. Also, Lamar Jackson has been the focal point on a franchise tag that could be signed and traded away. So there's a lot of rumblings about Lamar Jackson's future in Baltimore. And look, when you look at Lamar Jackson, you see a superstar. He's a former MVP. He can run like the wind. He can make moves that you can do in Madden, right? Like the guy's a star, right? His throwing ability, I've always questioned it, but he has dropped in some dimes that I'm just like, damn, how did he make that throw? But Lamar Jackson right now, if he is on the market, then you, as a franchise, have to do your due diligence to get this dude in your facility. I'm talking to Atlanta. I'm talking to the Jets if they fail on Rodgers and Carr. I'm talking to those teams. I'm talking to the Panthers. I'm talking to the teams that need a quarterback. You're adjusting your system around Lamar Jackson. The Colts, like, who knows? But what I'm saying is Baltimore would be absolutely silly to get rid of this guy now. I mean, he wants all this guaranteed money. I don't think
Justin
he gets
Fields,
all that money.
and that's the way you want to go with it, and you just want a running quarterback that can't throw. And I think Lamar is way better than Fields, but it's a good reset without having to spend all the money and not having to change up too much.
I mean, you got to spend the money. He's going to want guaranteed money out the wazoo, bro.
I'm saying that if you're the Ravens, you could trade for Justin Fields. The Bears would do that in a heartbeat. I can guarantee.
That's he's on a rookie, sure.
And then you kind of push the reset button, give yourself a little bit more time to figure out if this is the offense you want to work with. But look, as far as a trade candidate for Lamar, I think that's the least likely scenario out of everything. Even though there would be teams lining up to get Lamar, to get Lamar, you have to clearly you're going to have to negotiate a contract with him that's going to be a long-term deal. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same exact situation with a quarterback on a franchise tag, giving up 2 ones to maybe get a player for a season that's unhappy and then leaves anyway. Or you use another tag on him.
Right.
Is it the transition tag? Is that what you're able to do?
Yeah.
Right? So giving up potentially 2 ones and littering and maybe more and the guaranteed contract. I don't know that it makes sense for a team to do that when you have a Derek Carr who is probably going to be worth as many wins as Lamar is to a team that needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
And is a quarterback
they need playmakers over there in Baltimore, by the way.
The Jets would be I think the Jets are a better team with Lamar than they would be with Derek Carr. Don't get me wrong. I think that the Jets being able to keep all their draft capital and sign Derek Carr to a $30 million deal with about $33 million guaranteed, 30 a year, 3 years with a third of that guaranteed. I think that's the Carr deal that we're looking at. And then see what you got with his defense and see what you got with the coaching staff. But with Lamar, there's you're going to have to gut the offense. You're going to have to do everything different. You have Breece Hall, who's the guy that you want to be handing the ball off to. I don't think Lamar fits. I just don't.
All right. You might be wondering why there's a specific couple players on the screen right now besides Lamar Jackson. One of them being Anthony Richardson. Now, I know that's Anthony's boy over there, the Florida Gators quarterback. Is there a reason why he's being touted or at least like mocked a couple times into the first round? I saw one mock. He's reasons. The first overall pick.
There's reasons, and that's egregious. It's the same reason why Malik Willis was touted at certain points in the offseason process of being a potential guy that could maybe sneak in the combine and take over with a good combine. Look, this is what everybody does. They get, not everybody, but quarterbacks especially, they're going to run the 15 minutes of fame gauntlet, right? Right now it's Richardson. I mean, I watched a lot of Richardson last year sitting with the Sauce Network, and when I tell you that he's a decent running quarterback, he's got probably a really good arm, but he makes bad decisions with the football consistently. And in the NFL, first pick overall, athletic quarterback, haven't we proven that this isn't going to get it done? You need a guy that's going to be able to stand in the pocket as well as break the pocket and get some legs with his yards with his legs as well. But I'm not taking Richardson first overall. I'm not even taking him in the first round.
Yesterday,
I'm not doing it.
On top of Richardson,
too much talent.
Yesterday was a big bet on Mojo on the market. There was a $1,000 long bet on a Tanner McKee, the quarterback of Stanford. Now, after everything I read about him, and I did some deep dive on him, he has snuck in to the first round in some mocks. Now, look, the dude's 6'6", 230. The prototypical build for a prototypical quarterback. If you're sitting in there in the pocket and you're delivering and you're slinging it around. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be
it's like Justin Herbert.
Yeah, he's a big boy, right? His stats are not for him to catch wind right now. And I know that when it's February and it's early March, people are going to start touting these randoms that are just like, this is basically the Zach Wilson of this draft, I think. The one that all of a sudden people are starting to latch onto. He's a smart kid, don't get me wrong, but excuse me, but only 13 touchdowns to 8 interceptions last year. So he's not like lighting the scoreboard up by any stretch. I looked at and ready for this. This is what makes me a little timid about your $1,000 bet. on this guy. His pro comp is Mike Glennon. So it's just like, okay, cool. So you're a journeyman and you are backing up everybody in the league.
It's absurd. I mean, I like that they do the pro comps, and I do it all the time.
You have to.
It's a
That's just
natural
at least,
way to kind of give somebody an understanding of the type of player this guy is. But realistically, I mean, you're doing him a disservice. We're talking about here that he's potential first-round talent, and then we're saying Mike Glennon. It's just all it does is leave the public confused, because that's what I am right now. Now, confused more so by the fact that a guy that's got 13 touchdowns and 8 picks will be considered for a first round because of his size. We've seen this. I know you have it in the notes, but this is a very similar situation to a Zach Wilson thing. Like when you're lining up on the field, he's not playing that well. Granted, he's a quarterback of Stanford. He's a great quarterback, but the Pac-12 doesn't have the best defenses, and he wasn't able to light it up. Look at the quarterback play in the Pac-12.
I mean, I look right at Stanford right away, and their former quarterbacks. You had one of the most prototypical.
I'm just talking about this season. UCLA, USC, and Utah. Those guys all lit it up. The quarterback play is abundant in the Pac-12, and everybody's putting up good numbers, but this guy. So first round, no, sorry. I do hope for whoever made this big bet though that he does.
Yeah, you would hope.
Does go up.
Do you by any chance know the most notable Stanford quarterback in recent years?
Andrew Luck.
Davis Mills.
Well, most notable. In
recent years, like the last couple of years.
I knew that Davis Mills went to Stanford, but I don't think that he's as notable. So I think that's where the dispute went.
Before we get out of here, I just want to touch on Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 2.0 over at NFL.com. He dropped one. He said he's not doing any trades right now, so he's just basically going BPA, best player available, best fit for the teams, just to kind of breeze over it real quick of guys you might want to keep your eyes on. Clearly, the Bears, whether they get a haul for that first overall pick or not, they're looking at Jalen Carter, D-tackle out of Georgia. There's a big boy. Georgia's defense has been stout for how many years in a row? The first quarterback that goes is, in fact, to the Houston Texans. We mentioned Davis Mills before, but it's Bryce Young out of Alabama. So that could possibly happen. Again, ones that stand out, the fourth pick, another quarterback goes, and that's C.J. Stroud to the Indianapolis Colts. So they're looking for their quarterback of the future. Do they bring back Matt Ryan to kind of guide this kid? I mean, no. Okay. So they have no presence outside of C.J. Stroud to be the quarterback and nobody to guide him, nobody to help him. His veteran presence, none.
I mean, I think...
Want to go get Jacoby Brissett again?
That does help, but that's not a requirement.
Not a requirement, no, but
you know what you do? You hire a good quarterback coach, and you're good to go.
The Raiders at 7, taking Will Levis. So that's... could be a thing with the Raiders. They need a quarterback now. If they get rid of Carr, and you're not, unless you're riding with Jarrett Stidham, that's another situation.
And with the 7th pick in the NFL draft, the Green Bay Packers select.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at here just a lot of defensive players, which is great. One of the first receivers to go. Now imagine this. Imagine taking Bryce Young at 2 overall, right, and stacking that with the a 12th overall pick and getting Jordan Addison.
I want Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
so.
he is. So then obviously the Texans can't have him. Chris wants him for the Packers. Offensive tackles go,
guys.
Corners go. They got the Packers drafting a tight end here in Dalton Kincaid. And according to Jeremiah, Kincaid is one of his favorite players in draft. He's the most dynamic pass catching tight end in this class. Did you see the moves that the Packers made? They're not loyal. They're not loyal. They got rid of Cobb yesterday. They got rid of Mason Crosby yesterday. They terminated all these contracts. Mercedes Lewis is gone.
They're not loyal. That Rodgers is out.
No. As soon as they released Cobb, I was like, Rodgers is out. Cobb's his guy. There's no way.
Mercedes Lewis and Rodgers are like even better friends. It's weird.
Best corner in the draft, I think, from everything that I've seen. Again, no defensive players yet on Mojo, but the Commanders with Joey Porter Jr. at corner, so that's interesting. And then there's your pick right there at 18th overall. Interesting one. The Detroit Lions take Anthony Richardson, according to this mock draft. And that would be, again, you have Jared Goff. They like Jared Goff. They've put their confidence behind Jared Goff.
That would be ideal for me. The Lions are like upward trajectory, and then they're going to just
slide.
Snipe it. The GM is going to snipe it.
Snipe all the hopes.
Oh, you guys think we're going to be good soon?
Tampa Bay.
Let me see. Anthony Richardson?
Tampa Bay.
Put him on the board.
Tampa Bay out there drafting the first running back in the class, the guy that I sort of kind of came around about him and got flamed on Twitter for wanting a running back in the first round. Bijan Robinson mocked here to the Tampa Bay Bucks. That would be one of the best receivers in the draft, I think, is better than a couple of the other guys. Goes to Seattle. Jackson Smith Njigba from Ohio State, one of the greatest ones I've seen in this draft, this class at least.
To me, I feel like the guy loses credibility the minute I see a running back get projected to go to Tampa Bay. Why would they?
How about two tight ends in the first round? Michael Mayer.
Why would they pick a running back? Well, they have Rachaad White, who was probably their most successful draft pick, if not one of the linemen, right? Which I don't think it was a lineman because they stunk.
I don't know.
You're going to take a running back 2 years in a row, and
apparently this dude is. I've seen tape on him, and I'm starting to do some deep dives on him. Bijan looks ridiculously good.
He's the real deal, legit. But you got Fournette and Rachaad White. They just signed Fournette to a deal in the last offseason.
Was it 1 year?
No.
Or is he out? No, he's got 2. So he's there. He might be a cap casualty. Those guys are trying to unload some money. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the trade block right now. People are talking about rumor to get rid of those guys.
The best thing to do when you're trying to unload your contracts is to sign to draft a running back high that you're going to have to pay $20 million to in 3 years.
That's a dig. It's a personal dig. You can dig us at Mojo by following us on social media right now. Head on over to the Instagram, the Twitter, and of course the TikTok at Mojo, at MOJO. Easy to find us. Join the Discord if you want to start your own mock draft conversation. Head on over to Discord. You can do that right there. We can chime in as well. Us being the experts that we are in this draft already, I'm starting to finally brush up on a lot of the talent going forward. But again, follow us on there. Over there on Mojo, the app itself. You can't do any of this stuff without downloading the app. So do that, which is available now on iPhones and the green texters over there with the droids. Which, by the way, can't be trusted. I said it. I stand by it. That's where I'm at. So, again, thank you for watching again. The Mojo Market Report back tomorrow. The NBA is back tomorrow. And, of course, if any of these franchise tags get applied, we will have it first tomorrow morning. So, for Dave Sturchio, Chris Gucci, A5, Behind the Glass, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. See you guys back here tomorrow.